thug and flex his muscles, and most decided they really didn't need that few pence tonight after all. As he approached the black-haired lout and quaking shopkeeper, his gaze went to the ruffian's hands, looking for a weapon. Nothing. Good. Aaron grabbed the man's shoulder. "You want to rob someone? Try me." The lout's hand slammed forward. A flash of metal. Where had that come? The blade drove into his chest. Aaron shoved the man away and staggered back. His hands went to his chest. Blood pumped out over his fingers. The man came at him again, but the sound of running footsteps made him think better of it, and he ran off into the darkness. "Aaron! Aaron!" Aaron tried to take a step, but faltered and hit the wall. He stood there, knees locked, forcing himself to stay upright. Then he crumpled. Aaron twisted in his bed. The damned thing dug into both of his shoulders and butted against the top of his head and bottoms of his feet. Inns. Cram as many people into a room as they can, and if you're more than average height, well, that's not their fault. Eyes still closed, he took a deep breath. Flowers and a faint musty smell. The mistress probably set out fresh blooms to cover the stink, so she wouldn't have to change the bedding more than once a month. He should open his eyes. He knew that. But he also knew that first blare of morning sun was going to feel like Satan's imps stabbing his eyes with pitchforks. He shouldn't drink so much. He wasn't used to it, and he paid for his folly every morning after. Speaking of folly, he let out a groan as he remembered the man in the alley. Next time he decided to rescue someone, he'd take an extra moment to make damned sure the lout wasn't concealing a knife. Now he really didn't want to get up. He'd been stabbed in the chest once before, and it had taken him weeks to recover. The last time, he'd been unable to lift anything heavier than a piglet for a month. His father had to do all the chores, and he'd kept sighing and muttering, "Aaron, Aaron, Aaron," his weathered face wrinkling. But he kept his gaze down when he said it to cover the pride in his eyes. "A big strong boy with a good heart," he'd boast to the neighbors when he thought Aaron couldn't hear. "What more could a father want?" "God gave you strength," his mother always said. "Always remember that it's a gift, and gifts from God are to be used in His service. Help those less fortunate than you, and you'll please Him." Helping others, though, did not mean getting stabbed and being unable to help his father. His mother would be very firm about that. "Be careful, Aaron," she'd say. "You're too quick to act. Take a moment to think as well." Maybe he could persuade one of his brothers to come back home for a month and help. Even as the thought occurred, though, he dismissed it. They had their own families and jobs and farms. He was the only one left. His father relied on him. He groaned again. Enough of that. Time to grit his teeth and get up. He pulled up his knees, and they struck something with a hollow thwack. He opened one eye. The wavering glow of candlelight cast a dim glow in the dark room. Was it still night? He reached sideways to brace himself as he sat up, and his hand smacked against wood. A bed with sides on it? Had Jeffrey and the others dumped him in a horse trough again? He opened the other eye. Then, grabbing the sides, he heaved himself up, bracing for the throb of pain through his chest. It didn't come. Had he dreamed the stabbing? His fingers moved to his chest. It felt fine. Fine and whole. That damned cheap ale was giving him nightmares now. He sat up and blinked. He was in a dark, empty room, lit only by a few candles. It looked vaguely familiar. There was a board across his box-like bed, pushed sideways away from his head and chest. That's what he'd hit his knees on. A black-robed figure sat near his feet, head bent forward in sleep. Aaron rubbed his eyes. Where the hell was he? It looked familiar. Then he blinked as the memory clicked.